Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Good Afternoon Ghana here from Metro TV. I am Desmond Okrekudan, so we'll take a look at our headlines now. Now, coming up in the bulletin this afternoon, Minority in Parliament accuses Samuel Kuyeto Ablakwa of deceiving the public that passport acquisition fees have been reduced. We will interrogate more on this issue. Also coming up, Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark World Sickle Cell Day, a chronic and inherited blood disorder that affects millions globally. And coming up later on Business Edge, we will be discussing the high cost of charges at the banks, among other things later. Please stay with us. With these are some of the stories coming up in the bulletin. Please stay with us. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. I am Desmond Okrekudan. We'll begin from Parliament because a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the House, Patrick Yabwama, has accused the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa of deceiving the public that passport acquisition fees have been reduced from 500 cedis to 350 cedis. At a press conference, the Okaikwe Central Legislature said the minister is still discussing with the Finance Minister, after which a bill will be brought to Parliament in August for ratification and possible approval.
Today, from the answers he gave, it confirms that passport prices have not been reduced, and that he's now going to come to Parliament in August when the Finance Minister comes with the new fees and charges legislation. That will give the Foreign Minister the power in the government to either reduce or increase passport costs. So that impression that was created that passport prices were going to be reduced forthwith wasn't the case. So it's important we tell the good people of Ghana not to be carried away by that pledge. Because from the statement that he read to us, he says it still remains a pledge of the government to reduce passport prices. It's a good thing to have passport prices reduced to cushion Ghanaians. But once that hasn't been done, we need to put it on record that that isn't the case as we speak today. He came here about 2 months ago. He's here today saying that he's going to come back in August. Ghanaians are patiently waiting for him to come back. After all, that determination has to be made by the Finance Minister, whether it sits or fits within his revenue projections. It could well be that the Finance Minister will say that, look, based on A, B, C, D, I cannot reduce passport prices because I cannot meet my revenue targets. So what I'm saying is that we should all wait and pray to the good Lord for good life, health, for August to come, so that we see whether the minister will be able to reduce the passport prices as promised.
Well, staying with the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, he has called on Yoko, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and other investigative bodies to take interest and initiate swift investigations into the conduct of Fred Quartin, former employee at Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C., for introducing illegal businesses at the embassy, which earned him over $4 million annually between 2019 and 2024, a situation that led to the closure of the embassy some few weeks ago. Meanwhile, former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Kweku Amprachum Sapon has denied knowledge of the alleged criminal activities of the embattled former employee of Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C., Fred Quartin, until it was exposed by the current Foreign Affairs Minister.
God is my witness. I only got to know of this Fred Quartin's matter when it came out. In the last, I'm telling you, only in the last, was it 1 month or so when the issue came out. So I have been sniffing around to try and find out, what is this matter about this Fred Quartin? How come that during all this time that I was there, I never got to know or heard? Because we had a trusted ambassador over there, right? A seasoned politician, a seasoned lawyer, right? Being in charge over there. And we never had any cause to get any reports that there is something like this happening, something untoward going on. Okay. Until he came. And then he said, there is this, there is that. But it is possible. Sincerely, since I was in the ministry.
Former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister.
I don't think I visited the Washington mission. New York, I have been there several. But Washington, truth be told, I was never there until, I think until just before we had the elections. That was where I paid a visit with Dr. Baumia. We went to Washington and we went to Toronto. That's it. But officially, when I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I never paid a visit to the Washington mission. So if somebody does something wrong, that's why you get my 100% support. If Fred Quartin, what he's done is not appropriate, it's not acceptable, and it's fraud or fraudulent, hey, you can get my 100% support. That we get to the bottom of it and take whatever appropriate and necessary action against him. The same thing goes for any other officer who is found, right, to have involved himself or herself in that fraudulent thing. But my concern is we got to be very careful. People's profession, people's image, people's life, people's future, people's integrity are at stake. You don't just jump and start making noise left, right, and center, and then later on you come to say, oh, we are sorry, we didn't know this. We have to be very careful. And that is where my concern is when it comes to Honorable Okujoto Ablakwa. Because over the years he has demonstrated, right, the way he comes across and sometimes tell untruths and lies. And finally, when he's caught, he will be all over the place. He will defend it to the high heavens. I know him.
And that was the former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister speaking there to our correspondents in Parliament about the Washington, D.C. scandal. We'll definitely be following more on that. Now let's get to the quarters of the New Patriotic Party, because the spokesperson for the Dr. Mahama 2024 election campaign, Dennis Miracles Zabaj, has defended the party's decision to hold its presidential primary on January 31, 2025, citing the need for mending potential party divisions arising from the elections. Mr. Abuaje argued that the party is not operating in normal times, necessitating a careful and considered approach to selecting its leader. He spoke with Metro TV's Newsnight anchor Michael Addo.
Well, we cannot have concerns because it is within the right of the National Council to do this. It is not up to the candidate or the aspirant to determine when or which date the election will be held. And so the National Council have done what is right. I was privileged to be in the meeting yesterday, and about 98% of the members of the council agreed unanimously on this early contest. Initially, it was even proposed for an earlier date, but we have to satisfy the 6-month period within the constitution, and that's why it was moved to 31st January. Across the country, across the rank and file of the party, there is this general acceptance that we should have these elections early, simply because of what the party is currently going through. At the moment, we are going through some difficult times, and it's the belief of everybody in the party that once there is that gap of not having a clear-cut leader and a flag bearer, that will continue. And so everybody seems to agree that we need to elect our flag bearer early, so the party can rally around this person and his vision in readiness for the 2028 elections. Of course, I mean, we are not in normal times. This is 2025. This is we just coming out of an election that we lost by the biggest margin that this country has seen in recent democracy. And so we need to do extraordinary things as part of our reforms. And one of the key things everybody in the party agrees that we need to do is to quickly elect a leader so that it settles the base. Then the leader can provide clear-cut direction for the party to mobilize, coordinate, and rally everybody around his vision for us to be in readiness for the 2028 elections. We are in 2025 mid already. So clearly, if you look at it critically, you realize that we have some few months to get to 2028. And so it's not as if there is a departure from a certain norm.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has hinted that Ghana may soon transition from appointing metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to electing them as part of a broader constitutional reform agenda aimed at deepening local democracy and accountability. Addressing MMDCs at an orientation and training workshop here in Accra on Wednesday, 18th June, President Mahama suggested that the current appointees could be the last under the existing system.
MMDCs, you may be the last batch of MMDCs appointed. The National Review Committee is going round. I'm sure some of you would have been consulted, and it will present its recommendation in August this year. And one of the major items that has been canvassed is the election of DCs. There's no doubt that Ghanaians want their DCs elected. MMDC is elected. Several surveys have shown that they prefer to have your category of political officers elected. So you may be the last dinosaurs who are appointed. Those who succeed you might have to go through elections.
Now, away from that to one of the trending stories of the day, the Minister for Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, has approved a request from the United States for the extradition of 4 Ghanaian nationals accused of involvement in a large-scale romance scam scheme. Acting on a formal diplomatic request submitted through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, the minister instructed the district court in Accra to issue arrest warrants for the individuals, namely Isaac Odro Boating, Inusa Ahmed, Derek Vaniaboa and Patrick Kwame Asari, who are believed to be residing in Ghana.
The extradition request is being processed under the Extradition Act 1960, Act 22, and the Minister for the Interior, exercising his powers under Section 7(1) of the Act, has authorized the court to take the necessary legal steps to detain the suspects pending further proceedings. While the specific charges were not detailed in the official request, the individuals are alleged to be part of a romance scam operation responsible for defrauding victims of over $100 million. The order from the Interior Minister affirms that sufficient legal grounds exist to issue the arrest warrants and begin extradition proceedings in accordance with Ghanaian law.
Let's now speak to Richard Kumado. He is a fraud and security consultant and he's joining us on phone for this conversation. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Kumado. Okay, we're still working the lines to connect with Richard Kumado as we talk about this issue of romance scam. Of course, on social media has been one of the most talked about topics right from when the letter made its way onto social media. Let's connect with Mr. Kumado now. Mr. Kumado, welcome to the program. Hello, Mr. Kumado. Hello, Mr. Kumado. Are you able to hear me? Okay, unfortunately, we're not able to speak to him now. We'll probably speak to him during the Business Edge segment here on the program. You're still watching the news update with me, Desmond Okreku Danso, and we're live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana and also DSTV channel 277. Now to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the school, Professor David Asamoah, has encouraged veterinary medicine students to diligently seek perfection in their profession. Speaking at the 10th White School ceremony of veterinary medicine students of the university, Professor Asamoah encouraged the graduating staff to contribute to the country's development through their craft. There's more in this report. The White Coat ceremony, which is held every year, serves as the rite of passage for medical and health science students while ushering students to the clinical training phase at KNUST. Having completed their White Coat ceremony, the students have 2 more years to graduate from their 6-year undergraduate program. Speaking at this year's White Coat ceremony for 60 students, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of KNUST, Professor David Asamoah, charged the students to behave professionally while urging them to be abreast with time in this era of artificial intelligence in containing misinformation about outbreaks of diseases. He entreated graduates of veterinary medicine to stay in the country and offer their services to the motherland rather than complementing the high rate of brain drain in the country.
Works with determination and dedication to reach this point. The white coat you don today is far more than a piece of clothing. It is a symbol of your commitment to the healing arts, to scientific rigor, to compassion, and to service. It represents your entry into the noble profession of veterinary medicine, where knowledge meets empathy, and where your decisions and actions will impact the lives of animals and the people who care for them.
The Provost of the College of Health Sciences, Professor Christian Ejare, while calling for clearer policy direction for the country's veterinary institutions, also appealed to students to create a balance in the use of their digital devices for the benefit of their studies.
I will appeal to you, especially after going through this exercise, make sure that the use of the mobile phone is supposed to benefit your clinical training, not as a using it because of social media. When you are done maybe with your program, you can go there and use it. But in most of the cases, because of work demands and the money that you want, that will not be an issue. But kindly, we need you to focus. Use the mobile phone in such a way that it is supposed to benefit the student in learning, because at the click of a button you can get all the information that you need.
On his part, the Dean of the School of Veterinary Medicine, Benjamin Emikpe, while expressing concerns about recent outbreaks of zoonosis in the country, and appealed to government to prioritize the infrastructure expansion of the veterinary medicine institutions.
If attention is given to the completion of the veterinary hospital edifice that was graciously put up by Bedford, I believe the array of guests we have here today, with those arrays, the dream of completing the veterinary hospital shall be realized.
This year's White Coat ceremony was marked under the theme, Together We Thrive, the Power of One Health in Veterinary Medicine. And congratulations to them. Now, away from that, the Accra Brewery PLC has, or which sources majority of its raw materials from Ghanaian farmers, celebrated its agricultural supply chain at the Farm to Brew dinner event, appreciating the farmers behind the raw materials that power its brewing excellence. The celebration highlighted how local ingredients like cassava and maize transform into premium beverages while uplifting livelihoods and driving sustainable growth.
forms part of Accra Brewery's broader commitment to sustainable sourcing and community development, ensuring that their supply chain benefits both the business and farmers. The event served as a platform to celebrate the contributions of farmers to the brewery's success. In an interview, Head of Legal and Corporate Affairs Solomon Ayia highlighted the benefits of Accra Brewery's sourcing model, emphasizing its crucial role in the operations of farmers.
The benefit is enormous. I mean, for farmers, they are able to, because of the pricing, very good pricing that we give them, they are able to improve upon what they do. And as we've started with WFP partnership, they also provide them with very improved access to other facilities, and through that they are able to increase productivity.
He also touched on some of the legal frameworks ABL has implemented to strengthen partnership between the company and its agricultural stakeholders.
The legal framework around our partnership borders on pricing, for instance. So as you may be aware, on the local market, especially the retailers and the wholesalers, everybody quotes different prices. But for us to be able to have a very good pricing regime for our farmers, we've been able to enter into a partnership with them to agree on the pricing that we give to them, which is extremely competitive than what prevails on the market. So at the end of the day, it's very lucrative for the farmers, and they are able to source other finances to even support the kind of business they are doing because of the very well-defined, outlined pricing regime that we have with them. So it's virtually an agreement that we've entered into with the farmers to ensure that they have competitive pricing, which is far better than what is on the open market.
Accra Brewery PLC pledges its commitment to empowering local farmers and driving economic growth.
Now, the current food safety statistics in Ghana conducted between 2024 and 2025 shows that Ghana experiences over 600,000 cases of food poisoning annually, with approximately over 200,000 hospitalizations each year. This was reviewed at this year's World Food Safety Day celebration by the National Codex Committee of Ghana. There's more in this report.
The report noted accounts for more than 48% of all food poisoning cases reported, resulting in over 90,000 deaths annually and contributing to about 14% of all hospitalizations in the country. Major sources of food contamination include unhygienic cooking environments, improper food storage, and poor personal hygiene among food handlers, and it occurs at all stages of food chain, including crop, livestock, and fisheries production. During the observation of World Food Safety Day celebration by the National Codex Committee of Ghana, dubbed Science in Action, stakeholders called for enhanced efforts in ensuring food safety, especially how food is handled in its value chain.
Just look around you on their markets. Go to Abobloshi, go to Makola. Foodstuffs being displayed on the floor. Definitely the exposure is big. So if we talk about 1.7 million, it's not 1.7, it's at 6 million globally experienced that problems, and unfortunately a greater quantity died through it. Our sensitization, and that is why we have a national food safety policy being pioneered or championed by Food and Drugs Authority, and they have been working in close collaboration with Ghana Standards Authority by way of the standards that are also established through the Codex Committee.
Dr. Jolene Nyako from CSIR Food Research called for collaborative efforts in ensuring coordinated efforts when it comes to food safety.
I would say to an extent it's safer than it used to be, because as we know, our mothers also take care about us, the market women who work in the markets. They are also looking at their own indigenous ways or innovative ways of improving their safety. It is not up to the level that we want, but we are using advocacy and behavior change communication for them to understand the fundamentals of some of the processes that we are saying that they should innovate.
We haven't invested sufficiently in science. So when we are developing international international standards, our concerns are not taken into consideration. We are unable to provide the data that will be that are more localized in Ghana. So our call is that government invests in our science so that the foods that we eat, the foods that we trade, the foods that come into the country are safe for everybody.
While policy framework exists, an effective implementation, public education, and a coordinated regulatory action, stakeholders maintain are urgently needed to improve food safety outcomes.
Now, staying with food, government has been able to scale up its investments in the production of soybeans, especially in the northern region, as it has the potential to drive economic growth. Professor Samuel Ejensia was speaking at an inaugural lecture at the University of Ghana on the topic, Been There, Done That, unleashing the potential of soybean in contributing to poverty reduction in the northern region.
Apart from soya beans having the potential of driving economic growth, a former head, Forest and Horticultural Crops Research Center, KADE, Professor Samuel Ejensia, says it also has the potential to create employment and enhance food security. He bemoaned the challenges that soya beans farmers face due to low soil fertility, climate variability, limited adoption yield enhancing technologies, and limited access to mechanization services, which had accounted to the low production of soya beans in the northern region.
We need to support our smallholder farmers to be able to increase production. And also, we need to develop the crop in terms of production, in terms of processing, that's value addition for export. I think that as a nation, as we have developed cocoa to that level, I think that we can also develop soybean to that level. And if we develop soybean to that level, we can even exceed the income that we can derive from soybean can even exceed the income that we derive from cocoa. Now we are exporting most of our soybean as raw grains. We need to add value to it to produce the meal and export rather. That will increase the income that will be derived from the crude. I will say that government should invest in soybean production from planting to harvest.
Professor Ejensia indicated that the soya beans could serve as an import substitute for the country and could also be used to produce poultry feed and feed for other animals.
We import food into Ghana to the tune of $3 billion every year. And this about 2 years ago, we borrowed about $3 million from IMF. And that is equivalent to the amount of food that we import every year. And this can be reduced if we try to produce everything we eat from the country. We import a lot of soybean with the country, even though we produce, because what we import from outside is GMO soya, and it's cheaper than the one we produce here. So whilst we import, people also come here and export.
He added that he and his research team, through participatory research and on-farm trials, had improved soya beans varieties that were drought-tolerant, high-yielding, and resistant to common diseases.
And that's all for the news updates here on Good Afternoon Ghana. I am Desmond Okrikudan, so handing over to Emmanuel Kwesi for Business Edge. Kwesi.
Hi, Desmond. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm okay. It's Thursday, getting to the end of the week.
Exactly. And a lot has happened throughout this week. But
yeah.
We are there, and that's why we are here. We are for God and country and for the people of
Definitely. And of course, the big conversation about the romance camps, we were trying to speak to Mr. Kumado about, how this affects, is there any way it even affects, I don't know what to term it, but
it has
the
a lot
system.
It has a lot of ramifications.
Yes.
And for where it is coming from, the U.S. So, we talk about our credit ratings. Just this week, we have had Fitch upgrade us to B- on a lot of, all of these are things that they rate, are things that they base on, because now it is going to tell them about how doing business in Ghana is, that you might be scammed. So
and how people are making their money.
Exactly. It has ramifications on us when investors want to come into the country, people who are investing in the country already, those who are dealing in our financial service sectors. It becomes a bit problematic to the entire system. So I think you didn't get him, but if we get him, we'll still go ahead and talk to him and let everybody learn about how this impacts our financial industry and the entire country.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
But thank you very much for your time and for the news. So that's Desmond who brought to us the news on Good Afternoon Ghana. It is now time for Business Edge. And remember that we are coming your way live from our studios here at Rage in Accra. This afternoon promises to be very exciting. And today, this is a promise. Today, I'll make sure I make time for you to interact with us through your WhatsApp messages and so on and so forth. If possible, and I may ask the producer if he can allow, we will ask you to put in calls as well. And we'll treat it, the topic that Desmond has just raised, how impactful it will be negatively or positively on us, with FBI requesting for the extradition of some people that they believe are involved in romance scams. And the pressure, for me, it puts on young and upcoming people. We keep saying that our society is changing. Previously, you would have somebody work for a number of years before they think of acquisition of a land, before they think of putting up a building, before they think of acquisition of a car, and so on and so forth. Or somebody may have worked for, I was just putting myself as an example for someone, that I started work in 2009. And 2005, at least I can talk about 16 years. You would have a young person who has completed school 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they are looking to buy a Benz or they are looking to buy a Camry. That's fair enough if you get a good job or if you work in any of, so to speak, the extractive industries and you're paid well. I mean, it's good to buy. But if you haven't gotten there, how or what is the process? Do people want to follow the process? Do people want to go through the mill? Do people want to live and work and get hard-earned money or salaries or income and be able to live the life that they dream of? But people today just want to be as rich as possible within a year or two. We would allow you to share your thoughts with us on this in the conversation. Secondly, we would look at, or maybe that's what we may actually start with. We would look at the rates at ATM. And the discussion is about the fact that if you go to your ATM card or ATM service center to use the ATM, and for example, you bank with Stanbic, you bank with ADB, and their ATM is down, and you have the opportunity to use that of Ghana Commercial Bank or CBG or Fidelity Bank or GT Bank or any of the other banks, commercial banks. What is the rate? How much are you charged? CATS International says it is too much. What the ATM is supposed to do for us, reduce the burden of transportation, the cost of transportation, the time lapse that you will have to engage in before you even get to the point of, or the terminal, that's before you get to a branch where you will be served. The ATM is supposed to do that for you. But it is not doing that. It's actually charging, which in a way that is excruciating to you, the customer, me, the customer, and all of us that use the ATM services. We will have them here in the studio, and of course, we'll be talking to some policy analysts and economists on this issue. We have other things that we will discuss with you on the show this afternoon. You want to stay with us. When I go from the break and come back, I'll tell you about the stories which are making round in the world of business. And after that, maybe we'll do, of course, the exchange rate, how the city is also performing against the major foreign currencies, whether it is stable now or it is still appreciating and all of the things. So it's a packed afternoon. You want to stay with us. My name is Kwasi Afriye. This is Business Edge on Good Afternoon Ghana. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, you can join us in the interactive session.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
Smart, smooth, interactive, and a built-in Android active panel made for modern work and home. For corporate clients and university students, enjoy top quality 10th generation Toshiba laptops built for performance, power, clarity, and speed, all in one desktop. At Mycom JA Computers, get a laptop for as low as 1,000 Ghana cedis. All products are imported from the USA with a 1-year warranty. Visit Mycom JA Computers today and elevate your tech.
Some movies change the world, and you'll find them elsewhere. Mnet Movies 4 is just in it to change your mood. Great. They turn an ordinary night into something awesome. Make you laugh louder, smile bigger, and feel like a kid all over again.
Yay! This is so much fun!
The only thing our movies are seriously serious about is making you happy. All month long. On Mnet Movies 4 for the easy, cheesy, silly, funny, snort laugh classic movies of your life.
Everything in the world revolves around science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Enough of classroom memorization. Science must be practical. That is why the Quiz Talk is bringing Ghana's first ever national STEM quiz. This program will spark the students' interest in STEM. Science, of course, is the mother of all creation. Starting from creation itself, from the plants to the animals, everything you see is about careers drive modern economies. From engineering and medicine to software development and space exploration.
Engineering combines both science and technology to solve various problems around our society. For example, the roads we use, the cars we drive, and the airplanes we use to transport ourselves from one country to the other. What can you do to solve human problems? Come, join us on Quiz Talk, coming soon.
So come to Quiz Talk and then demonstrate your skills and help us with the STEM education.
Right, good afternoon once again and welcome back to the show. So I already introduced to you some of the things that we are discussing for the afternoon. I mentioned to you the issues surrounding romance scams and the request by the FBI for the extradition of some young men in the country who are perceived, according to the FBI, to have been involved in scams involving millions of US dollars. So they are being requested to be extradited to the United States of America. We'll be discussing that. We'll get into the details of that. There is a war on people who are using or operating illegally. So if you have tampered with your meter, if you are by any way evading the payment of the right prices of or to the electricity company of Ghana and so on and so forth, they are on your neck. They will be coming after you. And we'll be discussing this as well. Most of us have been talking about the issue of the Electricity Company of Ghana, the PURC, and the utility companies being able to cut out on the many losses that they make. And you remember the issue about the 1 cedi per litre levy. It was supposed to cater for some of these costs. And lots of people were up in arms. But the government has been able to do the necessary consultations and it will be paid. But for now, because of the Israeli-Palestinian war, it has been suspended. However, the ECG is getting on the field, getting onto the neck of people to make sure that they raise their level of revenue mobilization. And of course, we'll discuss the charges at the ATM. So have you experienced any problem with your ATM service at all? Whether you've experienced higher charges, if you are using the interoperability mode, that's if you are not able to do with your bank that you do your service with, are you able to do it with another bank, and how much are you charged for it? We'll be discussing all of that. But before we go on with that, let's see how the city is performing currently against the major trading currencies or the major foreign currencies, the US dollar, the British pound sterling, and the European euro. Let's see how the city is performing. And then when we do that, so currently the city is buying for 10.2949 Ghana cedis and selling for 10.3052 Ghana cedis. The British pound sterling is selling for 13.8661 Ghana cedis and selling for 13.8810 Ghana cedis. That's a bit. Well, we'll look at the technicality. So it's actually selling for a bit lower than how much it is buying for. Wow, this is some kind of news. So it is selling for 13.86. Okay, so well, the selling is higher. It is buying for 13.86 and selling for 13.88. Forgive us for that. Now the euro is selling for 11 or buying for 11.8625 and selling for 11.8733. 11.8733. We have thought that the British pound sterling was selling lesser than it was being bought for, and that would have been some great news. How and why it is going less for how much it's being bought on the market. So that's how the city is performing on the trade market as of this morning, the 19th of June, 2025. It's a Thursday morning. Well, so we come back to the studio. Let's quickly go around the world and see the news items that are making round in the world of business. And when we come back, we begin our discussion. Stay with us.
CATS International Accra, a research and policy think tank, is calling on the Bank of Ghana to address the growing burden of excessive ATM fees that unfairly penalize consumers across the country. Introduced as a cornerstone of modern banking, automated teller machines promised Ghanaians 24-hour access to their funds and reduced congestion in banking halls. However, unreliable services and hidden charges are undermining these benefits, prompting urgent calls for reform. Apiakusi Edumako, West Africa Regional Director for CATS International Accra, voiced the frustration of many Ghanaians, saying it's deeply unfair to charge people extra for using another bank's ATM when their own bank's machine is broken or out of cash. Consumers shouldn't pay for problems they didn't create. This sentiment is backed by the 2025 State of the Ghanaian Consumer Report, a comprehensive study by CATS that surveyed 1,795 consumers across the 10 regions. The findings paint a troubling picture. 71% of respondents encountered ATM-related issues in the past 3 months, including technical glitches, power outages, or cash shortages. Of these, 44% were forced to use third-party ATMs, with 68% reporting they were not informed of additional fees before completing their transactions. The International Finance Corporation has announced a partnership with Societe Generale Ghana PLC, a leading Ghanaian bank, to increase access to finance in Ghana's cocoa sector, support sustainable production, and improve market access for tens of thousands of smallholder farmers. Under the partnership, IFC will provide a local currency loan of up to $40 million equivalent through an unfunded risk-sharing facility to Societe Generale Ghana. The facility is expected to support up to $80 million equivalent in financing to enable licensing buying companies to purchase cocoa beans directly from smallholder farmers. In addition to the financing component, IFC aims to provide advisory services and capacity building to SG Ghana to enhance traceability, promote sustainable sourcing practices, and address deforestation risks in the cocoa value chain. IFC support will build resilience by improving cash flow for farmers and LBCs, strengthening market linkages, and promoting environmentally sound practices that ensure long-term viability of cocoa farming in Ghana. A Ghanaian civil society group concerned Citizens for Justice and Economic Freedom on Tuesday staged a peaceful protest at the Nigerian High Commission in Accra, calling on Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to intervene in what they deem as harassment and intimidation targeted at Ghanaian businesses operating in Nigeria. The group submitted a formal petition to the High Commission citing alarming treatment of Jonah Capital Nigeria Limited and Mobiles Property Nigeria Limited, two companies affiliated with Ghanaian business magnate Sir Samuel Essen Jonah and his executives Mr. Kojo Ansah and Mr. Victor Quenu. According to the petition, Ghanaian workers and executives at the River Park Estate project in Abuja have been subjected to repeated acts of violence and intimidation, including beatings, gun threats, and property damage allegedly carried out by Nigerian police and security officials, believed to be acting under private influence in a land dispute with Paulo Homes Limited. Absa Bank Ghana, in partnership with the Ghana Association of Banks, has convened a high-level thought leadership forum aimed at exploring strategies to advance Ghana's digital financial landscape through innovation, regulation, and inclusive growth. Held under the theme Digital Finance in Ghana, Balancing Innovation, Inclusion, and Regulation, the forum brought together key voices across the banking, fintech, and regulatory space to deliberate on how financial institutions can evolve to meet the needs of a rapidly digitizing economy while safeguarding stability and access. Delivering the keynote address, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Nesiama, reinforced the regulator's commitment to enabling the next phase of digital financial transformation. With over 24.2 million active mobile money accounts, growing fintech penetration, and sustained regulatory oversight, Ghana has built robust digital rails for payment and transfers.
Right, so you're welcome from that. Those are the news items making around in the world of business. Let me now go onto the line, and that's the beginning of our discussions this afternoon. You heard about the request for extradition of some people from Ghana to the U.S. to be tried on multiple counts of what the U.S. described as romance scams. And Minister for the Interior has given approval for that extradition to be done, for the people to be looked for and the extradition. The story says Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak, has approved the request from the United States for the extradition of 4 Ghanaian nationals accused of involvement in large-scale romance scam scheme. Acting on the formal diplomatic request submitted through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, the minister instructed the district court in Accra to issue arrest warrants for the individuals, namely Isaac Odro, Inusa Ahmed, Derek Van Yabua, and Patrick Kwame Asari, who are believed to be residing in Ghana. We are looking at the impact of these scams on Ghana's financial markets. That's how the producer puts it, of course. And currently, we have Mr. Daniel Usabute on the line to join us discuss this. Daniel is from the University of Ghana Business School, and we keep talking to him all the time. Daniel, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us, Doc.
Good afternoon, my brother. I'm from Accra, Tenka University, please.
Well, forgive me. We have been always talking to you, so but I mean, forgive me. Daniel is from Accra Technical University, but I'm sure you have followed the news as from yesterday and a few days ago.
Yes, I've been following the news on the scams, and you know, scam has both economic and social effects on every country. We can look at the economic impacts of scam on the economy. First, you are talking about financial losses. You know, it can result in both direct financial losses for individuals. It can affect businesses and even government. And this can lead to reduced economic activity. And of course, it can also affect our investments. Now, it can also lead to loss of trust. It can erode trust in financial systems. You know, it can take any form. So if people are scared, they are not too sure of how safe their investment is, I mean, to deter them from even saving with the financial institutions. And this can also affect the economy negatively. You see, so loss of trust is also there. It can even affect our markets, making more difficult for legitimate businesses to operate, for, you know, economies to grow. It can also reduce consumer spending. If you are scammed, the little that you have on you has been eroded. So it can negatively affect whoever has been scammed, that person's consumer spending. It can also increase costs. You see, look at what is happening. It is extra cost on the country. If these people are to be extradited, they ask yourself at whose cost. Okay, so it can also result in extra cost to every economy. Now, when you look at the social impacts, the emotional distress that people go through, you know, as a result of this wicked act, you know, scams can cause significant emotional distress for victims. You know, it can create anxiety, depression, feelings of vulnerability, and all that. It can even lead to social unrest, because when there's large scams, you know, it can lead to social unrest as victims and their families become frustrated, and sometimes they even turn their anger on the country. So these are some of the negative repercussions of scams.
So let me pick all of these one by one, and I want to go into it from the same angles, all right, but in different dimensions. For example, how we as a country are regulating the internet space, we are pushing the agenda of digitalization, and so on and so forth. And we have people who are able to circumvent the system and scam people even outside the shores of the country. Are we moving on as a country? It doesn't look as if we have effective regulations and we are being able to regularize the sector appropriately.
Yes, you're right. You see, most of these scams are all online. You know, people sometimes under the guise of romance and all those things. Now, the government can also reduce it if the government is able to roll out very effective measures. Recently, we heard from Bank of Ghana how they are trying to streamline the activities of online, you know, lenders and all that. So these are some of the measures that government can also put in to reduce the scam. But of course, we need to also be very careful. You know, I always say that sometimes it may not be through your fault or through your carelessness or negligence, but most of these scammers, they have a way of operating. They have their own modus operandi. They begin by bringing out some juicy contracts sometimes. They just want to see how aggressive you are when it comes to making money. You see, so if you're also very careful, if the thing is too good to be true, then you should know that something is happening. But as you rightly mentioned, I think that as a country, we need to tackle it holistically and make sure that we clamp down on some of these activities of these scammers.
But it now boils down to, so from the regulation now to security. If you want to even do business on the internet, now in this day and age, we have a number of growing businesses, small micro businesses, startups, SMEs, and so on and so forth, who, for lack of space, for lack of capital, for lack of location, which is very good anyway, they get online. People do their businesses in their room, and they will ask you to order. When you place the order and you make payments, they deliver to you. It brings us to the issue of security, and you mentioned trust. How are people able to trust in the system of Ghana? And we'll come back to all of the things that we are talking about on the international level, how investors would want to come in, and so on and so forth. But even within our small space, how people are able to deal with others. Looking at some of these things that are coming up. Lots of fraudsters on the internet, lots of people, and then we'll come to the social issues. One of the things that you mentioned that I'm interested in is people not ready to go through the mill, people not ready to go through the process, people not ready to learn, but wanting to be rich at once, wanting to buy AMG, buy whatever it is in their young age, 1 year after school, 2 years after school. But first of all, let's look at the issue of security and small businesses growing on the internet.
Yeah, I think that we need to educate most of this, or all of these SMEs, because you see, if now e-marketing has become the order of the day, you can do business it is very simple, it's convenient and all that. So you can, yes, order goods and it will be delivered, but you don't just pay. I hardly pay before goods are delivered to me. I'll make sure that you bring it, I pay. You see, so that is the first precautionary measure we have to put in place. And every genuine online business person will tell you, I bring it, you inspect it, and then I pay. You get it. But you don't pay when you have not seen the goods and you are not too sure whether it will be delivered. These days, most of these scammers, they are also into car business. They tell you, I have this vehicle here. You look at the price, it's so cheap. And I said, sometimes you shouldn't be following cheap things, else they always dupe you, you see. And then they'll tell you, I'm bringing a vehicle, send me money for fuel and all that. So this is how they always start. Okay, so we need to be very careful. I think that we have to first secure our resources by not opening up for these scammers to also cash in. Because as you rightly mentioned, if we try to amass wealth all of a sudden, they also cash in and then dupe you. Most of these people are there. Sometimes you open your email, you see messages, you get to WhatsApp, Facebook, and all that. It tells you that they are really operating. And people I don't know why people fall to some of these cheap ways of making money. But we need to be very careful. We need to be very careful. If the thing is too good to be true, please don't venture into any of this, because these people are wide awake and they'll do everything possible to dupe you. And even look at what is happening. This Momo, people are always frauded through this Momo thing. He send me your ping and then people send it, that kind of. So we need to have lots of education on these things. We shouldn't end there. We need to really educate people. And I believe that the media, you are spearheading this education, which is very
obviously. But let's get into the detail of the investments. People usually would think that, well, this is something of the norm, not in Ghana only, but it happens. Internet fraud, it happens across the globe. But in this particular case, that we have requests coming in from another country, requesting specific people that this is your trade, this is what you do. You have mastered this kind of trade and you are duping people across the globe. This is not the first instance we have. We have, I think the name has just escaped me, but one lady who had been extradited same way, and I don't know if she's been released or whatever, but I will get the name. And now we are here, 4 more people being requested. It looks as if there will be more people who will be requested for extradition. If you look at the discussions on Facebook, that it's kind of a cartel. I mean, what's the impact on investment? Are we going to have people, we have just been upgraded by Fitch to B-, and we are hoping that that will bring drones of investments into the country. Are we going to have this continue?
My brother, I think one of the reasons why government has to crack the whip on these scammers is the negative impact when it comes to investment. Okay, because somebody in the US or in Europe, once he hears that or she hears that we have lots of scamming activities here in Ghana, maybe, and you see most of this international media, the way they hype negativism and all that. It scares of investors. You see, so if we really want to attract investors, we need to deal with this canker, because it's not a good story at all for a country like Ghana. And most of these African countries have been labeled scamming and countries and all that. So yes, we need to crack the whip. Anything that we can do as a nation to reduce it, to eliminate it. And you see, it's a cartel. So once you arrest one person, we need to do proper investigations and get all the other people. You see, and yes, it is good these people have been arrested and they will be extradited. I think that they will go and face the laws of US, and it will serve as a deterrent to those would-be scammers. So we need to work seriously at it, because it's affecting investment. It's affecting investment. People are scared to even bring their money to Ghana, and even put already, out there is like there are some people who cannot even be trusted. You give them money or you want to work with them, you cannot even trust them. And then we are adding this to already rules. I don't think it will help us.
Exactly.
So we need to work seriously at it.
Exactly.
It's not good.
You bring in the aspect of the social impact, and I am happy about that. So I'll now come to that particularly. First of all, you mentioned emotional distress. Maybe you may want to discuss that in detail. But again, I mentioned the fact that there is a penchant to make money in a very short period by the young people of today. All of us growing up, we want to own huge houses. Of course, we have the affinity for it, but the speed with which we want it, the way and manner in which we want it, without going through the proper processes, without going through the proper procedure, following what has to be done. Not just in the space of internet fraud or romance scams or digitization, but in every other space. We talk about corruption here in the country, and you find young people getting involved in the corruption as well. How do we, as a country, overcome this menace?
My brother, it's a big problem, because greed has taken over some of these people, and competition, trying to show off that I'm rich. So you see most of these people going in for latest vehicles, they flaunt their wealth, and that also attracts other young people to also follow suit. You see, so yes, I think that we need to strengthen our education. Even sometimes they have JHS students, SHS students, university students, all engage in some of these activities. You see, so it is this get rich quick attitude. People are not ready to go through the mill. People are not ready to sacrifice, to learn a trade, and then at least make a living out of your profession. And then they end up following friends, especially school dropouts. You see 5, 10 people gathered, and all that they are doing is planning to defraud. And one thing that we have to also be doing as a country is to be naming and shaming and be questioning the wealth of some of these young guys. You see a young guy who has never worked but be driving very posh car, and then we look at them and they are happy, driving around and they're getting funds. But have we ever taken the trouble to even stop a young man, if you look at the person vis-a-vis his or her ability to generate such monies to buy such properties? We should be able to question them, because I know in other jurisdictions, your wealth must match up with whatever you are engaged in. Okay, so even if I'm a public servant and then my salary is, let's say, 5,000 cedis a month, there are certain things I cannot acquire. Okay, so immediately my assets begin to outweigh whatever I'm earning monthly. They must question me. Okay, where are you getting the other monies? Is it that you have defrauding people or you are engaged in other corrupt activities? Unfortunately, we hail such people, and then we try to make their business, we boost their business. Okay, so I think we need to start from our churches and from all the other worship centers. If you're a Muslim, when you go to a mosque, I'm sure the imams will talk about it. If you're a Christian, you go to church. We need to also be educating our congregants, because it's not helping this country at all. People are scared.
Yes.
And that is why these days you hardly find people even using the online financial system. Okay, people are scared. Even this ATM cards, people fear using it. And all that. It doesn't really speak well of us as a country.
You know that. Let me put this across before I let you go. You mentioned the churches, and you mentioned the fear of people using the financial system. But before I put that before you go, you can join us on the conversation on 0533741849. Please do text. We are not allowing calls for now. Maybe if the producer allows, we would allow calls. But for now, just give me a text or WhatsApp message. I'll read it. What's your experience with what we call internet fraud or financial scam? We have all the Mumu fraud going on and so forth. And we'll read your concern to the public. So you can text me through the number we are showing. It's 0533741849. We are trying to encourage financial inclusion in the country. I'm just coming from a meeting with ADB Ghana, and they have super products that they are ready to churn out to the people of Ghana. And if we don't have the confidence and trust to be able to engage the banking platforms, and Doc, this will surprise you, that I don't know, but I don't find it convincing enough, even with the interoperability and everything that has come up, to do online banking transactions. So how, if you need to transfer, for example, my bank is ADB and Stanbic. If I need to make a transfer from ADB or Stanbic to, say, EcoBank, for example, I know that there is that platform where you can just get onto your phone and then do the transfer. I'm not able to do that because I don't know, but I fear or I panic at the use of that. Maybe people requesting for mobile too much, or maybe some way, somehow, the transaction getting out of way, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you experience that with the students that you work with or the people that you interact with all the time.
Yes, my brother, I can tell you on authority that as for that insecurity, it is there. People still fear doing business online, especially with the financial institutions. And we need to allay their fears by making sure that we put in place all these measures to clamp down on the activities of these scammers. But of course, we must take our own security into our hands. If the thing is too good to be true, please be warned that it will not be something genuine. And you see, one thing about these scams is that it has its own long-term consequences on the economy. I mentioned earlier, it can damage the reputation of this country. Okay, so even if you're a Ghanaian, you visit any country. Hey, Ghana, we heard that you people you are into scam. Is it true? look at the embarrassment that you go through as a Ghanaian. You're a genuine business person, but somebody is labeling you as scammer because of what people have already done. So, my brother, it can seriously damage the reputation of all Ghanaians. And we need to seriously work at it. It can reduce economic growth. Okay? It can reduce economic growth because you are looking at trying to, woo investors into this country, but these coming activities are rather driving them away. Okay, so it can reduce economic growth by discouraging investment, even innovation and entrepreneurship. Okay, people are scared to do business with people here in Ghana. And my brother, I'm happy you have brought this topic out. We need to really delve into it and make sure that as a country, we name and shame. We shouldn't be praising people who we don't know the source of their wealth and be giving them big names and be giving them big titles, be giving them positions and all that. We should name them and shame them.
And finally, the involvement of the churches. Someone would say, yes, we need to do the education from the churches. But there are a lot of people who complain and lambast. For example, the churches that they think, maybe for the want of a better word, some monies are laundered through even the churches. I'm being very careful with my choice of words. But when the offerings are coming, we don't ask. When somebody is paying, for example, a tithe of 50,000 cedis, which means from the 10% argument, the person is making 500,000 cedis a month. We don't ask where it's coming from. We rather preach about the soul bountifully and receive, pressed down, shaking together, overflowing, and so on and so forth. And they keep bringing them.
You'll be a very good Reverend Minister. You see, that is one problem with some of our churches, right? We don't ask to know the source of most of our wealth. We rather revere people who so big. People giving 100,000, 300,000, 50,000, but we don't ask what kind of work are you doing. We fear asking. Is it because once we ask, then the tendency for that person to hold back is there. So we fear asking. But I think that as religious leaders, we need to also be interested in making sure that people earn genuine income, earn genuine revenue, not just the sowing seed in the church without we knowing the source of the seed. Okay, so yes, not only the churches, but religious organizations. I think we should be using our pulpit and be using every platform we have in a church to also educate the youth and be encouraging them to also go into at least some apprenticeship, hands-on. They should use their head, mind, and heart to work and then make a living, So we need to also tackle that one. I think that the churches also have a duty on that. And there are some priests and ministers of God who always use their pulpit to educate. Yes, to such people, I think that we need to commend them because I know some who always use their pulpit to educate the people, not to engage in any fraudulent activity, making sure that they labor to earn whatever resources that they have. They shouldn't use any cheap means. They shouldn't cut corners and all that. Yes, I know people who are doing it, but those who are not, I encourage them to also add it to their messages that they preach.
Right. So let me say a very big thank you to you for your time this afternoon. So Daniel Usabuti is a senior lecturer at the finance department, of course, the business school of the Accra Technical University, and he has done as Diana is explaining to us how this will impact us as economy and how we need to take important notice of it from the security angle, from the social impact, from the investment angle, even the involvement of the churches. These are areas that we need to pay particular attention to. It is not just about the news of the request from the Minister for the Interior, which is, of course, from the FBI of the United States of America for the extradition of some 4 people, not just about the news, but all of us and everybody else that's participating in the growth of the country. We had a president that says we should be citizens and not just spectators. So as citizens of the country, to not just see the extradition as some people have gotten involved in a financial scam, and so the request for extradition has come and they go, but how it impacts us. And so how we all take care of this socially through our friends, our people, our work colleagues, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much, Doc, for joining us this afternoon. Let me say, there are too many calls that are coming through. Please, you are not allowed to call for now. You can join the conversation on WhatsApp. You can join the conversation on WhatsApp. I'll read 1 or 2 of the messages that I have so far. So somebody says, I sometimes agree with black guys from Africa. Oh, please do not call. Please do not call. I sometimes agree. Okay, the call has just changed the message, but I'll try and get all for you. Good afternoon, Metro TV. I'm Aaron Call, and I'm listening to the conversation on the love scam and how the financial system is a prey to fraud and scammers have taken advantage of this. But I am suffice to say I have developed a mobile app and then tends to solve this problem. Wow. All I need are investors to make our financial system more trustworthy. Thank you. So, Aaron Call, you didn't tell us where you are texting from, but I'm sure that this is something that the Ministry of Communication and the Minister, Honorable Sam Nati George, will be interested in. So, yes, you can text after the show. We can make arrangements for you. Or you can get to the ministry, and I'm sure the Minister will be accessible to you for you to be able to put forward to him this app. If it does help us, we will all be very happy. Hello, good day. My name is Oga from East Legon. Internet fraud is born out from greed. I agree with you, Oga. I very much agree with you. I can confidently say, because I was actively involved in the early years in Ghana, I got myself doing it without any training or mentor. I made so much money in the early 2000s, so much money that I was given a personal banker at one of the branches of a popular bank in Tamale. This is the thing we are talking about, and this is the same thing Mr. Osabute is talking about. After a couple of years, I decided personally to stop because my consciousness, I'm sure you want to write, started beating me, or conscience. I asked myself so many questions about how the people we defrauded felt, how they survived, and what benefits these monies would make for us. I repented and stopped defrauding people. I later made amends and became friends with some of the people I defrauded to ask for forgiveness. This is all greed, Oga from East Legon said. Keep the text messages coming. Please do not call. Do not call. Calls are distracting. Forgive me, but they are distracting. Do not call. Just keep sending your messages. I'll read every message. For now, let me just run to the phone and speak to the PRO, or the Director of Communications for the Electricity Company of Ghana. Mr. William Quartin is the Director of Communication, the Electricity Company of Ghana. So they are on a war, and it says that the Electricity Company of Ghana has embarked on a nationwide revenue mobilization exercise from Monday. That's about just this Monday, the 16th of June, to the 27th of June, 2025. This initiative is aimed at recovering unpaid bills from a broad range of customers, including residential, commercial, industrial users, and government institutions such as ministries, departments, and agencies. And I'm happy to ask Mr. Quartin about what happens with the ministries who have been paid. But how far is the exercise going, of course, and what are some of the roadblocks? So Mr. William Quartin is on the line, my very good friend, and I'm happy to have you on the line. William, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much.
I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time.
Yeah, so we are managing. It shall be well.
Well, I will. I will look for you, and I'm sure when you are less busy, now there is a lot of pressure on you and the work you are doing. When you are less busy, you will find time and pass through the office. But for now, you said you are clamping down on people who are not paying your fees in a bid to increase your revenue mobilization. How is it going so far?
Well, I think so far, so good. It's important we treat that we are not interested in the disconnection per se. I've said it time and time again that it's just about the money we want customers to pay. Because any time we go out, it means that we are going to spend more money in terms of labor because we are deploying manpower. We have to get logistics, a lot of logistics on the field, and it is costing us. It's increasing our operational cost. So we are not interested in the disconnection per se. It is just that sometimes the last resort, and we'll continue to plead with our cherished customers to do the needful by paying what they have consumed. That's the most important.
And we are learning that you are uncovering a web of power theft in very high places. What can you say about that?
Yes. When we go out, we take opportunity to also check the integrity of our network and the meters. And in fact, we have a task force already in place. That is their sole business, monitoring the network for us. That's a whole loss control unit task force working for us. But when we go out in our numbers, we also take the opportunity to check the integrity of the network ourselves. The workers themselves are trained; they have the knowledge about how the network should be. And so anything inappropriate, anything illegal, they check and then also they report back. There have been instances where we have to do the needful by disconnecting immediately because an illegality. And so that's also ongoing. If you heard about one said big estate, we tracked them for a long time and we were sure that it's an illegal network. And we have done the needful. We will be taking legal action and make sure that they pay what they have consumed.
But will you go ahead to prosecute them apart from the payment?
Yes, that is what our legal directorate has hinted. And so we see the way forward. But we think it's important that we start prosecute to send the right signal.
Okay, I'm happy about that. But I see that the date for your exercise is just about 10 days. If you include the weekends, from the 16th to the 27th of June. Is this enough?
Well, we want to do the 2 weeks. We have to increase the numbers on the field. These are workers who have their own job schedules already. And so they do other things. And they are helping the field workers. We want to do the 2 weeks exercise. After we come back, test whatever we've done, and then see the way forward.
I am asking because
you look at what we have done, and then because we know others have started coming on their own, some of our customers, to see how best they will be committed to collaborating with us to agree on a certain payment schedule. It's very good for us. It's not the best thing, but I'll take it like that. We thought that they should be coming forth way ahead of this exercise. But that is a good sign. And so when we finish the 2 week exercise, we will look at what we have on our dashboard and how many we have left and see the way forward.
I am asking because all of us attack you all the time. We are on your neck every day. For us, the pressmen and even the larger populace, we are concerned about power losses, the rate at which a lot of people are not paying. And so this exercise for me is a very good one. But the issue of power losses, how do we wrap our heads around it? Because there is too much. And that's how come you keep going back to the PURC to increase your rates for you all the time. This year it's been increased, but you will still not be able to meet your revenue targets and to fund your infrastructural needs to be able to provide for us power consistently and continuously, because you are losing power all the time. So is this going to be one-off? Is it going to continue? How are you strategically making sure that we reduce drastically the issue of power losses?
Yeah, thank you. I think that we are on the same page. We are worried about this issue about power theft or high level of commercial losses.
started approaching this particular canker on two. The first is technology. Now we started, if you remember, we started deploying smart meters. And the smart meters allow us to have an overview of what the customer is consuming remotely. So at the comfort of our offices, the dashboard tells us whether the customer is purchasing or is not purchasing. That helps us do the tracking. Unfortunately, we are not covered everywhere. We have about more than half of our customers still on the postpaid. So that is one of the strategies we are putting to reduce our commercial losses. We have the task force going around, but most importantly is we ourselves as pioneers. That is the most important part of it. That we ourselves do the right thing.
Okay.
We pay attention to we ourselves, because it is the people of Ghana's company, owned by the people of Ghana. We want to make power stable for all of us. It's important that we all guide against illegalities in the system. We have cases where people vandalize our transformers and steal the homes. We have people just stealing, and we look on. And we know homes that they are doing it. And in fact, you get a lot of that we've seen, and we don't want to take action or help ourselves. So until we ourselves will help, there's no way we can police the system for hours. You know it. Look at the size of Ghana or where we operate. Even Accra alone, there's no way we can stand or be present everywhere for 24 hours. We cannot. It's about we being sincere, we being patriotic, and doing the right thing, and helping ECG to serve you better. Because we all our electricity, you know the effect. When people are doing those illegalities, have an effect on the reliability of power supply. Because they do the illegality, they don't know which particular phase to pick. They overload the transformers, they bend the transformers. So whilst we have planned to probably maintain the transformer for years, they knock out the transformers, and within a short time, we've lost the transformers we have to replace. And that's money going waste when it shouldn't have been so. So whilst we are working from our side, we are pleading with also patriotic citizens to help us to fight this canker.
Right. I think I can end it here now. Maybe for all the other discussions, when we make time or when you are less busy, we'll come into the office and go through all the questions and the problems of the people. I wanted to ask you, about, I don't know if you would want to comment, but you can decline to comment on the one, this, because we haven't discussed this, we didn't tell you we were going to go into that dimension. The 1 cedi per liter levy, which is supposed to come and fund the entire energy sector, which you are involved and included very heavily. There's been discussions on whether we should pay or whether we shouldn't pay, whether it should be cancelled, and so on and so forth. But you need the money.
But you all do this particular comment to be my personal opinion in terms of the
yes, that's what I'm saying. It's
a government policy, and so long as it's coming to help all of us, I think that we all have to support it.
Yes.
Personally, I support it because I have to help all of us.
Okay.
Legacy debt, and we try to clear the system and make sure that we're on the right footing. So let's see how it goes. It's still being debated, and they are finding ways of how best we can make it more, more affordable for all of us. So let's see how it goes, please.
Well, thank you very much. So we wish you well on the exercise that you are doing currently, and we hope that, a lot more people will listen to what you've told us, that patriotism should increase, and people should on their own make ways to pay. And then if you find anybody in your area, so you can actually report the person, you'll be protected. So
yes, it's very important, because you are going to suffer too.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can decide, let me ignore. It is not me who is doing it, I'm doing the right thing. But immediately they start, it affects the transformer saving you. And obviously there's that collateral damage, to all of us.
All right, so thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Mr. William Quartin is the Director, Corporate Affairs, or the Head of Communications for the Electricity Company of Ghana. We have been speaking to him about their exercise, which they are embarking on currently on some illegal connections that's been made by some people, both residential, commercial, industries, and of course, government agencies. Please, again, do not call. I'm going to pick some few messages, and then I can talk about the ATM, as I promised you early on. Let me see this one. Still too many calls. Well, so maybe, producer, you may want to allow some 1 or 2 calls. I don't know. But somebody has just texted that they want to be able to express themselves through the phone calls and not just their text messages. So, yes, I've seen your message. I'm going to work with the producer now and see if we can allow maybe some 5 minutes towards the end of the show so you can express yourself as you say. Thank you very much for bringing it back, because I've been cutting the line and telling you to text, but would allow, if possible. I'll talk to the producer right away. Someone says, I sometimes agree with black guys from Africa who scam whites. Wow. Because they scammed us first, and it's a payback time in this generation, but disagree with black people scamming black man or woman. Lou, you didn't tell us your name and where you are texting from. Good afternoon. The youth cannot be stopped. The system allows these parents complicit. People are hungry. Farouk sent in that one. Farouk, you didn't tell us where you are texting from. We need to be careful. That's the most important thing. So the advertising should be more. That's the education and the campaign against internet fraud should be more. That's what this texter is saying. All right. Good afternoon. Please, for my store, I requested for a meter. Well, so this is on ECG. When the contractor came to my house, he brought a faulty meter. When I called him, he told me he will come and change it. Up to now, he didn't come. Last week, I confronted him and he gives up to end of this month. What should I do? That was a question to Mr. William Watson, but we'll gather them and forward it to him and get answers for you. Maybe on Tuesday, we'll answer these questions for you. 10 million jobs under eco agriculture. Greetings from Empower Youth Nima Zango NGO and Youth Congress of Nima GH. Please, if you can link me to any government, well, this is private from what we are discussing, so we'll text you back after the show and see if we can grant your requests that you are asking. I was defrauded on my Airtel Tigo, and I quickly rushed to the telco to complain for them to block the number. Upon checking the number I gave them, they confirmed my said money was in the person's account, and I was given a time frame to return my money. But when the time was due, I was told the scammer has withdrawn the money. Wow. We'll do some verifications, but I have done transactions on MTN. I have sent a wrong money to I have sent money to a wrong person before, but they held the money in the account of the person such that the person couldn't withdraw. So it is difficult to appreciate what you are saying. Prince OT, Prince, you didn't tell us where you are texting from, but it's important that we follow discussions of this sort. Let me pick this last one, then I'll begin the next discussion. But you can keep your text messages coming. I'll read them for you, and then the caller who says you can't express, not that you can't express yourself in text, but you want us to feel the emotions and the passion. We will see if we can get that done for you. Good afternoon. Okay, so Kwe, are you Kwe texting from Nsawam? That's you are the one who got the 40 meter. So let me get to the CATS discussion. I call it the CATS discussion because CATS International is the one or the company that has brought this to the fore. A very important discussions that many people haven't paid attention to. I'll read a bit of what they have urged the banks to do, and then we'll get into the discussion right away. It says, Consumer Advocacy Group, CATS International Accra, has urged the Bank of Ghana to adopt stronger, more enforceable reforms on ATM charges as it undertakes a review of current fee structures in the sector. The policy think tank has proposed 4 specific measures to address what it describes as widespread unfairness in ATM-related costs, mandating up to 4 free third-party ATM withdrawals per month, eliminating monthly ATM card maintenance fees, particularly for the customers who use only their bank's machines, requiring visible on-screen disclosure of all fees before transactions are finalized, I think that's a very good one and a very important point. And of course, we'll ask the manager to explain that further to us. And enforcing minimum ATM uptime standards with penalties or compensation for non-compliance. So let's get straight to the Managing Director of CATS International. And good afternoon, sir, if you're on, and thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. So what we're doing is to get Mr. Apia Kusi Adomakun Esquire, who is a West African Regional Director of CATS International, of course, based here in Accra, on Zoom to speak to on the issue of what we have been talking about. So let me take you through the points that they raise, and then we'll get to him. The first point, so they have made some reforms. So it says proposed key reforms to protect consumer and restore fairness. Point number one is free third-party ATM withdrawals. Mandate up to 4 free third-party ATM withdrawals per month to shield consumers from fees when their bank's machines are unavailable. Well, we'll get to Mr. Piakusi Admako to explain this point and make it more elaborate for us. Number 2 is eliminate ATM maintenance fees. I'm sure a lot of us didn't know about this or haven't paid particular attention to this. And so when you use the ATM, what we are learning is that you are charged for a fee which, according to the bank, is supposed to help maintain that ATM. That's supposed to be part of the bank's operational cost and not for us to pay. No, I don't think that's fair enough. Well, we will still get Mr. Apiakusi to explain to us the more. Phase out. So the explanation they put there is phase out monthly ATM card maintenance fees, particularly for customers who use their bank's ATMs exclusively, aligning Ghana with global best practices. That means it's not done in other parts of the world. Mandatory fee disclosure. That's require all ATMs to clearly display fees before transactions are completed, empowering consumers with transparency. And even apart from the transparency, I think it will allow consumers to choose the option of whether to go ahead with the transaction and be charged or refrain from going ahead with the transaction if they are not comfortable with being charged. That gives the customer the power to want to be charged or not. Well, point number 4 says penalties for downtime. Enforce minimum ATM uptime standards with regulatory penalties or customer compensation for banks that fail to maintain reliable services. These are the proposals from CATS International Africa, or CATS International. And the West African Regional Director is Mr. Apia Kusi Adomakun. We are trying to get him on the line to speak to the points that they have raised. So I understand that Mr. Apia Kusi is currently on Zoom. And of course, those who are still sending me the messages, I am trying to see if producer allows, the one who is calling. I'll try and see if I can. Okay, so I'm told that we can go ahead with the call. All right, so these are the points as you see on the screen. Let me come back to the studio and then get to Mr. Apiakusi currently on Zoom. Mr. Apiakusi Adwako, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. And you raised some very cogent points, and I would want us to go through the points one by one. If you can hear me, thank you very much for joining us. You say that free third-party ATM withdrawals. We should mandate up to 4 free third-party ATM withdrawals per month to shield customers or consumers from fees when their bank's machines are unavailable. Can you explain this point to us, sir?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers.
Right.
Okay, so the way the ATM, when a customer applies ATM with his bank. Let's say my bank is Bank A. Then I want to go and withdraw money from Bank A's ATM machine. When you get there, sometime when you get there, your bank's ATM machine will be down based on it could be lack of money, technical, electronic, or whatever faulty. You have an option to just drive 30 minutes and look for another bank, the same bank machine, and withdraw your money. However, if you are in a hurry, you want to fall on a third-party bank, either Bank B or C. As soon as you use Bank C or B, a third-party bank, your bank would charge you, you'll be debited money, and even the amount that you'll be debited, you will not even know how much the charge is until you've completed the transaction. And because of this, it's not being fair to the consumer because consumers pay a monthly maintenance fee for the usage of ATM card. And so if a bank has taken money for me to render me a service, at the very time that I need to use the service, the bank is unable to use it, and I go and use a third party and I'm charged a money and my bank will not refund it to me, it is not fair. That is the first point. And so we are asking the Bank of Ghana to allow for up to 4 free interbank ATM withdrawal every month. This would overcome to account for the downtime when ATM machine could go off at any time. And so if you allow up to 4 or 5 free transactions a month, it is able to resolve these consumer challenges.
So if I'm getting you right, it means that if I'm banking with Stanbic or ADB, for example, and I go to say Ablekuma, where I live, and their ATM is down, and I get to use GT Bank, Fidelity, or any other bank, Ghana Commercial Bank, I am charged for it. What you are saying is that I shouldn't be charged. We should allow 3 more ATMs to be included so I can use and I don't get charged for it. Why not the entire ATM in the banking, commercial banking setup? Because, I mean, all of them are charging and there is interoperability now. So they should be able to have that seaming connection.
Okay, so in the meantime, we are asking for up to 4 or 5 free monthly withdrawals. And then in the medium to long term, Bank of Ghana should permit full interoperability of ATM machines without any charges. The problem in Ghana is that ATM came as a way to reduce congestion in the banking halls. And so if as a consumer, I have helped the bank to reduce congestion in the banking hall, that what it means is that the bank doesn't need to recruit more people and the bank doesn't need more space within the banking hall. Having helped the bank to make savings, now the bank is even charging you a monthly maintenance fee. You are paying a monthly maintenance fee for your ATM, which is also wrong. Whether you use it or you don't use it, you pay a monthly fee. And I think that
should that not be the burden of the bank, part of the operational cost? Why is it passed on to the consumer? Have you done that research?
Yes, because we have kept quiet and this practice is being done to us. The sad thing is that most of these foreign banks who are here in Ghana, when you go to their home country, they don't charge any ATM fees. But when they come to Ghana, they also join what the traditional banks have been doing and they charge us. And so we are asking Bank of Ghana to mandate and abolish the ATM monthly charges and allow, because now we are going into electronic revolution, digital economy.
Yes.
And by charging people money, you are going to slow down the adoption of financial services in the country.
That's a difficult one for me because the whole point for me is that at the end of the month, if you are keeping your money in the bank, they charge you anyways. And they cannot tell us that because they have set up a branch in La Paz, for example, EcoBank or whichever other bank, so they are charging for branch setup fees in La Paz. Why do they charge for ATM maintenance fee? Because they have set up ATM and they need to maintain it. Well, let's get to the point number 3. You say that mandatory fee disclosure, it should be displayed when you are going to do a transaction so that you are not able. Please go ahead. For the purposes of the people watching us.
Okay, so if you go and use an ATM on a third-party machine, and the bank is going to charge you, which in the US, for example, anytime you use a third-party machine and there's a charge on it, they will tell you that you are withdrawing, let's say, $50. The charges is, let's say, $2, and then you approve before you go ahead. But in Ghana, the banks don't even disclose any charges to you. By the time you realize, they would have charged you money without your notice. And I think that it goes against Bank of Ghana's guidelines ensuring disclosure.
Okay. And then the final point is the penalties for downtime. You said enforce minimum ATM uptime standards with regulatory penalties or customer compensation for banks that fail to maintain reliable services.
Yes. I think the quality of service with the banks when it comes to ATMs is very bad. And our particular banks, I will not mention their name. I mean, anytime, especially on weekends and even weekdays, you go there, their machines are not working consistently. And Bank of Ghana is not picking any intelligence on this to penalize them. I think Bank of Ghana needs to develop tools to be able to monitor ATM downtime and punish banks who don't meet the minimum requirement. Because if we don't allow, if you've taken ATM, you are charging consumers, and then consumers can't use the services that they are paying for, then it's a matter of what you are just abusing consumers. And I think that Bank of Ghana needs to come into, and I'm happy that the BOG recently talked about some reforms on the fee structures of the banks, and we want to ensure that all of these four proposals are also included in the proposed reform that the BOG is talking about.
Okay, so hold on there for me. Just hold on 1 minute. I'll come back for your final comment and what you want. If all of these do not happen, what will be your next line of action, and maybe would you go to the Bank of Ghana and so on and so forth. But I have Dr. Richmond Etuahine, who is a banking consultant, on the line. I want to speak to him and see how he appreciates the points that you have raised. So, Doc, if you can hear me, thank you very much for joining me. Now, CATS International, Mr. Adomako Kusi-Appiah, Mr. Appiah Kusi-Adomako makes some points from CATS International, and I tend to agree with him, I think, on all the 4 points. First of all, is free third-party ATM withdrawals. That's I have it on the screen here, so I'm reading the points to you. The second is eliminates ATM maintenance fees. Third is mandatory fee disclosure. And fourth is penalties for downtime. Doc, I agree with him. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers. I think he hits the nail on the head. I mean, there are unfair treatment for customers when it comes to this ATM and electronic banking. As he said, you go to a system and then there is a downtime. The downtime means that you go there and you want to use it. There is no power, there is no nothing, so you can't take your money. And if you go to another system, you are being charged for, at least there is no better configuration of the systems. So what he's saying is true, and it's been very, very unfair to the clients and the customers in this country. So I think your speaker is damn right. And I believe Bank of Ghana would have to be very tough on the banks, because if you are providing online services and we go there and your system is down, what has that got to do with me going to another system? So what, from his experience and the survey they have done, I believe Bank of Ghana would have to take it up seriously, because the charges are too unfair. Customers are being treated unfairly.
They are being treated unfairly, and I can tell you they are being treated unfairly. But as the speaker said, there is a conduct regulator, which is a department in Bank of Ghana, who is supposed to look at all these things and then call the banks to order. And I don't know whether they've been doing it. Because for the survey he did, you can see that it is not just overnight. It's consistent and it's been going through. So I believe that what he has said is truth and nothing but the truth. And Bank of Ghana should take his advice and begin to work with the banks to ensure that these unfair treatment to customers are stopped. Other than that, a time will come, people will stop using it. And not even that. There are other charges, and I want to bring it to your notice.
Yes, sir.
Domestic, not the ATM. I mean, those who have accounts with banks. Recently, as recent as last month, they introduced some astronomical charges. Look, you were charging me, say, $30, 30 cedis per keeping my cedis account with you. You get up in the morning, and they have lifted it to 100 cedis. And I don't, as he said, I don't want to mention that bank. And I'm making this report to Bank of Ghana that the banks are not, they are not stealing. They are stealing people's money. The reason why I say they are stealing people's money is that I leave my CD with you, and you don't pay me interest. And the balance that with you, you continue to charge me 100 CDs, 100 CDs, 100 CDs. I believe Bank of Ghana should take it up seriously, and they shouldn't wait, because what the banks are doing, they are just cheating the customers unfairly. And they know that if you want to go to the complaint system, if you go and complain, it takes such an unreasonable time. So I believe that
that means that the interest of Ghanaians are not at the heart of the Bank of Ghana, because the Bank of Ghana should be doing this and protecting us.
The Bank of Ghana is not at the heart of the banks. Me, I blame the banks, because if I leave my, say, 150,000 there, and you begin to charge me from 30 cedis to 100, what has changed to make you charge 30 cedis a month to 100 cedis? And they don't inform you, and they don't discuss with you. You sit down there, they will just come with something. We are charging you with immediate from system, so we are charging you this. Is it fair to the customer? After leaving your deposit, you're sitting with the bank, you're trading with the money, you're giving rules with it, and at the same time, you charge me for leaving my CDs with you. And I can tell you back, I can give you history. I mean, when the President Kufuor time, we were paying minimum balance interest to customers who kept minimum balance. You are not doing it. You are not paying minimum by interest payment on it, and you are charging me 100 cedis, 100 cedis. So from the experience that the research that the man has done, I believe it is an eye-opener for Bank of Ghana, the conduct regulator, to get up quickly, and go to the banks and begin to ask for their charges and then test the system.
And to stop this, and to stop, as you put it, the stealing.
Sorry?
I said, and to stop, as you put it, the stealing by the banks.
Yeah, they should not be putting fees as if it's nobody's business.
Right.
If I have an ATM, because I cannot come to your office to take my CD, you give me an ATM card, and I come there and you charge me. And then the balance that I have with you, at the end of the month, you charge me.
Okay.
I mean, are you being fair to the customer? Customers are not being treated fairly in this country.
Right. So thank you very much, Doc. I'm happy that I could have you to speak to this, because it's an important matter that we should get to the roots of it, and which is coming from CATS International. Thank you, CATS, for raising these matters. Let me go on a quick break. I'll come back to round up with about 1 or 2 minutes. So I'll go on a quick break and come back.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a
Leadership is a lonely road. Leadership is a sacred calling to transform lives. Leaders often grapple with very difficult challenges that can threaten their spiritual and mental health and overall well-being. Leaders in Worship is the exclusive program for leaders designed to provide that safe and sacred space to nourish, enrich, and empower your personal relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ through worship and scriptural exhortations. This is your strongest fallback. Leaders in Worship will take place on Friday, the 20th of June, 2025 at the Grand Arena, Accra International Conference Center. The time is 7 p.m. Ministering together with me as hosts, Eric Odro Kwapong, Sandra Houston Kelly from Ghana, and Jumbo Aniebiet from the USA, together with anointed ministers of Christ from Ruach Global. A special attraction will be Ruach Jazz. Admission is free, but registration is strictly required. Your life will never be the same.
Last season, we brought you the hottest trending music videos, insightful interviews with your favorite celebrities, and some dance moves.
We also got your favorite celebrity talking about their deep, goofy, and interesting sides you and I can see on cameras and social media.
But hold up, this season we are bringing you a whole new different vibe. Spanking new videos, top 5 countdown, and the all-new segment dubbed MVC Experience, where we bring you close to music, fun, and more interesting vibes. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles, MVC Official TV.
Everything in the world revolves around science,
technology,
engineering, and mathematics. Enough of classroom memorization. Science must be practical. That is why the Quiz Talk is bringing Ghana's first ever national STEM quiz. This program will spark the students' interest in STEM.
Science, of course, is the mother of all creation. Starting from creation itself, from the plants to the animals, everything you see is
STEM
about
careers drive modern economies. From engineering and medicine to software development and space exploration.
Engineering combines both science and technology to solve various problems around our society. For example, the roads we use, the cars we drive, and the airplanes we use to transport ourselves from one country to the other. What can you do to solve human